Welcome, one and all. Today is October 13th, 2016, and this is Mastermind call number 96. We're a month away from our 100th call. We'll have to do something special for that. And actually, I see Mr. Ownby. Tom, you are here. We thought you were on the road. Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
The gang's all here, and I wanted to thank the whole group, number one, for your patience last week. I don't know if all of you realize, we do not operate out of the same building. We've got 4 partners. We're scattered across the country, but 3 of us are in Florida. So this time last week, we were dodging a major hurricane. We got very lucky, and it really didn't do much damage to us. So Chad handled the call on vacation on the top of the mountain, and he said he hung up on y'all early accidentally. So I guess we had a 28-minute call. He got disconnected at the end. So appreciate y'all who did show up, and thanks for your good wishes, and we're all in great shape. So before we get to, we do have one person in the queue. Again, guys, we got room for half a dozen questions or more. We'll stay here and answer them as long as it takes, so please hit *6 and hit 1 if you would like to participate. I see Vimy, I see Nancy, welcome. I see a lot of our newer clients. Mr. Faust, welcome. You've been with us forever, so please contribute. *6 and hit 1. Before we get to the person in the queue, Tim, anything you want to share with the group?
Nope, not a thing. Let's get rocking, and let's get some questions in here. And I appreciate you saying what you said about the hurricane. We got some nice replies back. We sent an email out to let you guys know, and some of you were nice enough to comment back about questioning our sanity and safety, and we indeed were lucky to get through that. That was a potentially challenging thing, and we were blessed by it staying a little bit further out to sea.
Amen. Chad, anything from a training perspective you would like to share?
Nope, I'm good today.
When is the next mastery course, Chad? I get asked that a lot. Have we set a date?
I have not set a date. I am looking at the last week of October. Right now, my priority is finishing up and putting the final touches on Fast Track, the new Fast Track. It should be the last week of October.
Excellent. And any of you, I see at least 8 to 10 new people on this call. The people that are brand new, if this is your first call and you haven't done so, the first thing you should do is go to our website, go to the subscriber resource area, and watch those Fast Track videos. Chad's really done a good job of cramming a ton of material into about an hour, about 5, 10, I think there's 3 now, 15-minute videos. But in less than an hour, you can get a really, really good comprehensive overview of the entire system. So please do that, and you'll be in really good shape by the time you get your first set of leads. Tom, anything from a customer service perspective you want to share?
No, I'm good today. Just if anybody needs anything, please send us an email at support@alltheleads.com, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible.
Yeah, thanks for that. I was looking the other day. Our average response time, all the 4 of us and all of our employees read those emails, and our response time is less than 20 minutes. You know, in many cases, it's even quicker. So email to support@alltheleads. We'll get right back to you, and let's get to the callers in the queue. We have 2 people, and again, guys, we got room for a lot more, so please hit *6 and hit 1. And let's go to Don first. Don, phone number ending in 7595. You're up.
Hey, Jim, John Boring. I just started with you guys, and I have got my first batch of letters out. And I typically use a dialer for making phone calls. Have you guys ever used Mojo as a dialer? Has anybody ever used Mojo? And as far as getting it set up, what columns do I want to put in there? What's the most pertinent information when I'm making those calls?
Good question. I think that's one for Chad.
So Mojo is kind of the Cadillac of dialers. I would stick with that if you've used it before. As far as the column, so you're gonna be contacting the personal representative, and we give you up to 5 numbers for the personal rep. So you want to load, and you'll have to determine how you do this. We find that most of our prospectors report about 90% accuracy on the numbers, one of the five, on one of the five. So you'll have to decide if you want to load all five numbers and call. I think Mojo calls 3 at a time. So if you want to call the first 3 for person A and then move to the first 3 for person B, typically you would have one phone number for each person, and you would call 3 people at the same time and then hang up on the two that hadn't answered. I think a better way to do it would be call, let's just say, phone number 1, 2, 3 for person A, and then when somebody picks up, it hangs up, the other 2. I think that's probably the most effective way to use it for probate.
I'll tell you how because I talked to Mojo as well, and I told him there was 5 numbers. It'll actually call 3 people, and say John Smith is the first guy. It'll call his first number, and it'll be calling 2 other people. And when somebody doesn't pick up, it'll go to John Smith's second number on the next round, and it continues until it goes through all 5 numbers.
Okay. Well,
that makes sense.
That seems like the best.
All right, so I want to have the one thing I noticed about the information, it doesn't necessarily have on that list where I was looking at, or maybe I overlooked it, did not have the property address that would be part of the estate. It has the decedent's last.
We give you every probate filed in your county in the last 30 days. So
okay.
Some of them actually won't own real estate. Statistically, Americans over 65, about 88% have real estate. It varies from market to market. So the goal here, and what we try to teach, is focus on the people first. And once you've built rapport and understand if there's a need, you've got the rest of your career to focus on the real estate. So, we try to focus on making sure they understand who you are, why you contacted them, what unique value you can provide, and then ask, is there any real estate that you guys need help with? And even if the answer is no, there's still the potential there to have a buyer lead to help them, sell their own home and move up. So there's a lot of ways you can help. The average inheritance in the U.S. is just under $177,000. So you know that you've got somebody in a very stressful situation that could benefit from professional help, whether that's a listing agent or a buyer's agent, or just referring them to, a senior moving company, or there's a variety of different ways you can help. So just try to keep that mindset. Focus on people first, real estate second.
And John, if I could add to that, the probate records will list, almost without exception in every county, they'll list the name and last known address of the deceased.
I'm seeing the last known address.
Yeah, and a majority of the time that is going to be the property address, but you can't automatically assume that. The only way to really know for sure what real estate is owned is to call the executor or the attorney, and the executor is the easier person to get a hold of. And sometimes you'll be pleasantly surprised, and there'll be multiple properties. But if it was in the probate records, we'd supply it to you, but it just isn't there. So Chad's strategy makes sense. Focus on the person first, and have a how can I help you attitude. You could always ask them. Now I noticed the last known address is 123 Main Street. Is that the real estate that was owned? If you want to reference something.
Yeah, the reason I asked the question is the PR was in North Carolina, and the last known address was in North Carolina. I'm in the Maryland area, so.
Probably moved in with mom and dad and passed away there.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
All right, and I have one more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But the out-of-state ones are typically, they need the most help. So those are really the ones you see that are out-of-state are probably highly motivated to find somebody to help.
Okay. I have one more question. I know you guys have a couple scripts on there. Where would I find the scripts on the site?
If you look under Step 5 in Subscriber Resources, the best thing I can direct you to is there's a spreadsheet. It's called the Probate Seller Interview Sheet, and it's really more of a framework. It helps you kind of follow the progression that I just talked about. So, building rapport, learning about the people, setting the appointment, and then moving to, property information.
All right, so it's Probate Seller
Interview Sheet.
And it's under Subscriber Resources.
Subscriber Resources, Step 5. And I recommend downloading that, even printing it off. It's formatted so it prints on one page. And then going to our Facebook group and listening to the past couple of role play calls at least. I think we have 12 role play calls that are archived, and the progression of those role plays will match that sheet, and you kind of get a feel for the language and develop your own. I'm not a big fan of written robotic scripts. We want to encourage you to kind of understand the progression of these conversations and develop your own language behind it.
Okay, good enough.
You good, John? And by the way, I called you Don. I was looking at the name of your real estate office, so
that's okay. I get it all the time.
Century 21 Don. So you're John with Don.
There you go.
Anything else, John, or did we answer your question?
Nope, that's it for right now.
Excellent. We have 2 more people in the queue. Thank you. And this next one I recognize is probably one of our newest subscribers. Vimy, welcome to Probate Leads, and welcome to the call.
Hello.
Hello, you're on, Vimy. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I was just wondering, what are you saying about we can go and check out the system? What's that website?
alltheleads.com. And
yeah,
go
I'm
to
on
the,
it.
Okay, go to subscriber resources, the tab on the very right-hand side.
Okay, just let me
sign subscriber resources and sign in with your email and your password that we set up when you signed up a couple days ago. And then you're gonna look at the just look at everything on the subscriber resources page, but in particular the fast track videos. You want to watch those fast track videos. If you'll just watch all of those, it'll answer 95% of your questions.
All the leads, I'm going. Okay, but I don't see any subscriber.
The tab on the right.
Okay, tab on the right.
The very right-hand tab.
So go to where do I go? Go to the resources.
Yeah, go to subscriber resources. And Vimy, if you have any issues or anything after the call, just send an email to support@alltheleads, and Tom will call you back and he'll walk you through how to do that and how to download all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Or we'll call you. We'll call Tom's on the call. We'll give you a call after the call.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Vimy. Thank you and welcome.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got a star next. Nancy, you're up.
Hi.
Hello there. How you doing?
Pretty
neighbor?
good. How are you?
Wonderful.
We just got one of our county lists, and I noticed on the first time we got the list, there's about 3 or 4 email addresses for the personal representative, and now this time there was email addresses for about half of them, which seems really nice, and there's a lot of opportunity there. So I was just hoping that you could comment on the emails and how you use them, and if anybody's using them instead of mailing, instead of phone calls, if you had a sample email that you found successful.
Great question.
So first, for everybody on the call that said, wait, I don't get emails, again, we gather all of the information from the courthouse. That doesn't necessarily mean that emails are available in every courthouse. That's actually very few that give us that. So if you don't have email addresses for the PR, please don't penalize us for that. We give you everything that's available. For those of you that do have emails, congratulations. You're in probably a little more progressive market, and the reason you're probably not getting them all is it's not a required field, or they may not have emails. So the people who do want to be contacted by email, we'll provide that information to the probate clerk. And as far as how you can market to them, we've had requests for us to write the email copy. We don't currently have that. It's something we're testing and working on, so we may have in the future. But I recommend, MailChimp is a really simple email platform that it's relatively quick to learn, and it helps you really track, and you can build out sequences. So if you wanted to have, like a 6 or a 12 email drip campaign, you can probably do that in an afternoon using MailChimp. And then each month when you get a list, you just simply copy and paste or upload that spreadsheet into your MailChimp list. and it will put them on a drip sequence at however you set up the intervals. That would be probably the simplest way for you to get, to consistently be touching people at the same time, in a progression.
So would you recommend using it along with snail mail and the auto message phone or the phone call?
Yeah. Email marketing is definitely, to me, it's supplemental. So I definitely wouldn't make email the priority. Direct mail and phone calls are, the proven way that we reach people, and the nature of our direct mail, we get, probably 100% open rates because it's in a greeting card envelope. And if you're a really, really good copywriter, you're probably going to get 20% email open rates on your email copy or emails. So definitely do your direct mail and phone calls and make that a priority. But I think the email could be a great supplement to that.
And would you write something similar to what your letter 1 would be, or something shorter, or?
I would, it really depends on. I would focus on dripping out valuable content. Just like with any email marketing, it's about providing value first. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about them. Talk about some of the things that you can do. Highlight. Talk about kind of if you take the options letter and break it apart, and each of those bullet points, why does the cash offer make sense and how we can help. How our clean out crews helped this family in the past, use testimonials, things like that, or why we have a clean out crew as a key team member, or an estate sale company, and just maybe break apart that, all those value points that you provide, and make one email for each of those throughout the sequence.
Okay, that sounds good. And I have another question too. We're using your service to send out our mail, and we've sent out, hundreds of letters already with our first 3 lists, and we didn't have a single one returned. And then we got a sample a while ago, and there wasn't a return address. Is that a strategy of some type, or can we have a return address?
You can have a return address. The reason it's kind of the default that we don't have it is I tracked my first 9,000 pieces of mail, and I had 6 returned. So because of the nature of where they're providing their address, it's 99.9% of the time it is accurate. So you don't get a whole lot of return mail. I tested, and I actually had a little better response rate without the return address, because I think it prompted, probably 100% open rate. It looked like a greeting card, and they didn't know who it was from, so it got opened. So that's just kind of the default that we use. If the return address is important to you, we can certainly add that to your envelope.
Not necessarily. I was just trying to see the strategy, because, when we've sent to absentee homeowners before, or some other lists that we've bought in other places, the return rate's high, and then we've had somebody do the research and track them down, and that put us ahead of the cash buyers in our area. But it's a whole different strategy and a whole different type of list.
And this is Tim. That's typically kind of the issue, and I think what Chad said is kind of really the issue there. These are coming from the legal document, and all communication that is passing back and forth from the courts, from the attorneys, from everything else is literally going to that mailing address. So our assumption, and it always has been the case, that our assumption is that that address is accurate, and because it's literally the only thing that's there. Oftentimes the phone number may not be correct. We don't have an email address, but somehow court documents have to get exchanged, and so those addresses are almost always correct. And as Chad said, kind of the reason is basically that we're attempting to make it something that gets opened, and anything we can do to increase those open rates, that's kind of what we're doing it for.
That sounds good. Yeah, they're fresher too than when you buy absentee homeowner list or something like that, because they just change them and they scrape them from the county appraiser site usually, or something like that when you get them. So they're definitely fresher leads. So I can see where that would be a better strategy. Thank you.
No, thank you, Nancy. And Nancy, kind of kudos to you. We met Nancy at the Florida Association of Realtors conference. she and her team were already doing probate, and I think her husband was pretty much living at the courthouse to retrieve the data. And when we started talking, it kind of became really obvious to him that there was a better use of his time, as her partner. So, and you guys I expect you're just getting started, Nancy, but I expect to hear great things from you in the future because, from everything I can see so far, you're doing everything right. So thank you, and thank you for participating. Did we answer all your questions?
You did. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We don't have anybody else in the queue. Bob Faust, I noticed you're on the call. Something that Nancy mentioned triggered a thought in my mind, and I think it was Bob that was doing it. We always recommend reach out to the executor first. They're the path of least resistance. They're the person you're going to be able to get a hold of. But by all means, if you have the time and the resources, also reach out to the attorney. If you build a relationship with one attorney, it can turn into a career worth of referrals. And we have 4 or 5 agents, and yeah, it is. Bob is one of them that's done really well. And thank you, Bob, for jumping in. He's jumping in right now. Hopefully I have the right person. Let's see if I was corrected what I remembered. Bob, that was you that was doing an attorney campaign, correct?
Yes, you're correct, and I'm surprised you recognize me. This is not my normal home phone. This is my vacation home in Indiana, and I'm surprised you recognized the phone number. But anyway, you did. Yes, I'm reaching out to the attorneys on a monthly basis. I am sending emails to them, and I can tell everybody, talking to the attorneys is not easy. They don't want to talk to you. As soon as they sense you're a salesman, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to have time for you. You can't get by their gatekeeper. And getting their email address is not even easy. And many of them have very good spam filters. So how you address and what your subject line is very important in getting the message opened by the attorney. But it's, to me, such a strong well of potential new business. I'm going to keep pursuing way more strongly the attorneys than I do even the personal administrators.
And Bob, didn't you determine that you had a better response rate when you referenced the docket number, both on the phone and on the letter? We talked about that instead of.
Well, I did until I read I thought I was going to. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Until I read an article about the spam filters, and an awful lot of attorneys have spam filters. And the message that I was using was REA, R-E, colon, and then the document number. The REA is a term that's used by many spam filters to say this is spam. So if we can leave that off and just say something about the docket number without saying R-E, colon.
Gotcha. I had another agent, I don't remember who it was, said that they tried, calling, this is Sally Jones, realtor, calling for Mr. Smith, and, they'd get put through to the paralegal when they'd say, this is Sally Jones calling, referencing docket number A7206. The assumption was they were an attorney and they were more likely to get put through to the attorney. So that's interesting, but it doesn't translate quite as well to emails because of the filters.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get 5 or 10 minutes from these attorneys. I have found the best way to do it is to go to the attorney's office and show up in front of the receptionist with a bowl full of flowers or candy or coffee to try to get a 5 or 10 minute introduction to the attorney.
Gotcha. And
still not easy though.
No, and I appreciate
everybody's got to be willing to pay the dues of a hard press campaign, but once you get the attorney, you're in great shape for months to come. And once you get 1 or 2 referrals from him and do a good job, you're on a speed dial.
100%. And I always tell agents probably the easiest way to get the attorney is get the listing. Now you got a good reason to call them to find out when the probate would be completed. And the best way to earn his long-term business is to get that property sold quickly so he can get paid. So, that's kind of getting in the back door. Well, thank you. This discussion prompted a bunch of people in the queue. We got a few more people. Thanks so much for jumping in, Bob. We've got 2 more people right behind you. So anything else you wanted to add, or are we good?
No, we're great. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. I think I recognize this phone number, 1003. You're up.
This is Roger. Can you hear me okay?
I knew that was you, Roger. We can hear you great.
I wanted to follow up on Bob's experience, and I got to say, for all the new guys, I picked up the docket number issue or the docket number information on one of these calls, and I put it on all of the attorney mailings that I mail out through the standard program for 3 months, and I also put it on the PR's mailings because it gives it that aura of, oh my gosh, there's something right here. I found the most effective use of it is, as you said, Jim, is in a phone call to the attorney's office. I'm calling about the estate of John Smith, docket number blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm in with the attorney. And the objective with that first phone call is to introduce myself, talk to, and provide value, and giving him the reason to talk to me is to save him time so that he can have other billable time and to coordinate the errors in a consensus on the property, and let him know that I've already talked to the personal representative, and we have a dialogue ongoing with that. And at that point, I ask for a 15-minute visit. I try to have an offer when I come to the attorney's office. If I've got one, I bring it and I make sure I've got a listing agreement filled out, and then I start off that visit with the attorney, presenting my brochure, the services that we offer. He starts looking like he's going to go to sleep, and then he says, well, we can't do anything until the 6-month advertising period, blah, blah, blah. We start talking about that. And then I said, well, it just so happens I have an offer on the property, and we should get it listed. And I know that and with my familiarity in my area, I know that the court has to approve the selling of the property. And at the same time, I've got a CMA or BPO that I'm showing the value of it, showing the listing, and then showing the offer that I have. And at that point, the guy just rolls over, and it's a matter of scratching his tongue. And he sits there and goes, "You've got everything done." And
I love that analogy.
and he says, we got to take this one step at a time. Let me take the listing agreement. I said, of course, I've got contingent upon court approval, and we can get this. I've got the personal representative who's hesitant to sign it without your approval on it, and here's the evaluation and appraisement with the property. If you can take that, we can get that going. Then we can respond to a counter with the offer that I have. That's worked very well for me when everything falls into place.
That is awesome. And I want to be brief. We have one of our new clients in the queue still, and I want to get to him, Roger. But for those of you that haven't heard Roger before, Roger, I think you've probably made more commission or potential commission dollars with attorneys than anybody we've had anywhere in the country. You've had 2 multi-million-dollar listings that have come basically through an association with an attorney, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I'm getting attorneys sending me divorce cases now because they have such confidence in me, and in fact, that one is I'm expecting the divorce decree to be written, and I've already got a buyer for that property, and my attorney sits there and says, "You're the one I'm coming to, Roger, with anything I've got." And so I've got about, now on my board, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attorneys that I'm in regular contact with, and I make sure that they've got a box of chocolates or something, or just aware of what that I'm still available to help them and make their life easier.
And Roger, finally, when I tell people you've had a $8 million and I think a $1 or $2 million listing, people probably assume you're in Southern California. Tell everybody what market you're in.
I'm in Northwest Arkansas, home of the Arkansas Razorbacks, and both of those are, one of them's ag-rye, an ag-rye listing for about 1.2 million, and the other is ag-rye that has been rezoned into single-family residential. Then it's ag-rye in the family, and the family's sitting there going, well, we'll sell the ag-rye in the other county, but we're going to hold on to this property and wait for houses to pop up all around it, because that's just going to make our property more valuable. And I said, that is a great strategy at this point.
Good for you. So you do what's right for the client. Put, value first. Hey, thank you so much for sharing, Roger. I want to make sure we get to our last person in the queue this week. But thank you, as always, for being willing to jump in and share. I really appreciate it. Darren, you are the final caller on today's call. How you doing? Can you top that last call?
Well, that's a pretty good one. In fact, I just moved here from Florida about almost 7 years ago from Northwest Arkansas, out of Bella Vista.
Really?
So I'm familiar with the area he's in. Actually, my question is, though, is I wanted to find out, have any of you put together kind of like a block diagram or a checklist of what you actually do to set up before you go into speaking with the attorneys, or if you're lucky enough to get the executor and the attorney together at the same time, so that you can present your list of services for them. Because, of course, one of the things it seems to me that you want them to know right off the bat, especially if that property owner is out of state, that they've got somebody that's stepping up to the plate that says, hey, I'm here to look out for your best interests, because a lot of time that's probably top of their list, is my guess.
100%. And Chad, I know Darren is not in the queue anymore, but I know he shared the material with you, correct? He shared some of his material, and I don't think he would mind. Doesn't he have a 3-page brochure?
If you go to the Facebook Mastermind, the All the Leads Mastermind Facebook group, and
okay.
in the menu in the top, you'll see files. Just jump in there. Bud Thompson has been generous enough to share a trifold brochure that he uses both for attorneys and as a supplement to his direct mail. And it does just what you're saying. It kind of lays out the menu of services and explains who he is. So that's
because checklist type of thing would be great just to get that started as a new agent, because I know I'm going to have to be, adjusting it from time to time, and you need a good solid starting point so you don't start kind of walking in with 2 left feet right off the bat.
Excellent. Well, great call, guys. Tim got disconnected for a minute, and he's back. Is there something you wanted to add, Tim?
Yeah, all I was going to point out is that, like Bud said and a couple of other people have said, just to let you know, in addition to just doing the mailings for the regular letters that we've done, we're also now doing 3-page flyers, we're doing trifolds, we're doing postcards, and people are being extremely creative with the material that they're sending out to people, and we'll work with you on anything that you want to put out, and we will continue to expand our offerings. But if you've got something that you want to put out to an attorney, or you have something that you want to put out for any reason, whether it's to your probates or anything else, we're a mailing service, we'll provide them for you. We're here to help you, and I've been really kind of jazzed about a lot of the stuff that's going out. As you know, we're hustling, doing a bunch of other stuff right now, but we'll be adding a bunch to our offerings that we'll show you the next little bit there. But if you've got something you need to get out, let us know, and we'll get it out for you.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys. We're a couple minutes over, so I'm going to let you all get back to work. And I always like to end these calls. First of all, I want to thank you for taking 30 minutes out of your week to be with us. I want to thank you, the people who participated. I really appreciate your contribution. And I always like to end these calls by challenging everybody. Take one idea, one thought, one thing you heard on this call, go out this week and put it into practice. And please come back next Thursday and let us know your results. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you next Thursday.